The silent follower Emma had always been an independent woman. At 28, she had just landed her dream job as a graphic designer in the city, living alone in a modest one-bedroom apartment on the 4th floor of an aging building. She loved the quiet. Evenings with her books and tea, the occasional late-night walk under the street lamps, and the sense of freedom her apartment gave her. But freedom, she was about to learn, could be a double-edged sword. It began subtly. At first, Emma dismissed it as exhaustion or stress. She felt watched, a prickling sensation crawling along her skin whenever she was alone at home. It was the kind of feeling she couldn't easily explain, like the faint echo of footsteps that weren't there, or the barely there whisper of a voice, just out of reach. She tried to convince herself it was paranoia, a tired mind playing tricks after long hours of work and little sleep. But the feeling grew stronger each night, tightening around her like a noose. One evening, Emma was scrolling through her phone before bed when she noticed something strange. A notification popped up. A new photo was added to her gallery. Puzzled, she opened the photo app. Her breath caught in her throat. There, glaring back at her in horrifying clarity, was a close-up shot of her sleeping face, eyes closed, hair tousled across her pillow. She hadn't taken this photo. She didn't own any device that could have snapped it. Her heart hammered as she scrolled through the gallery. More photos had appeared, grainy, blurry shots of dark shadows lurking near her window, the curtains pulled slightly aside. The images were unsettlingly clear in some places, distorted and shadowy in others, but unmistakably taken inside her own bedroom. Emma's mind raced with questions. Who was doing this? How had they broken into her home without her noticing? She frantically searched her apartment, checking every door and window lock twice, 3 times. Nothing seemed disturbed. No signs of forced entry. She called her best friend Sarah, trembling as she explained what had happened. Sarah's voice was firm and reassuring. Maybe it's a glitch, Em. Could be malware on your phone or someone hacked your cloud account. You're probably just stressed. But Emma knew the truth felt darker. She felt a cold presence in her home, something watching her, breathing with her, hiding just out of sight. That night, she didn't sleep. She sat curled on her couch, phone clutched tightly, eyes darting to every shadow. Suddenly, a faint creak came from the bedroom. She froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Then the light in the hallway flickered. Emma's heart pounded. She grabbed a flashlight and tiptoed to her bedroom. The door was ajar, but she was sure she had closed it. She pushed it open, slowly. Nothing. Just the empty room bathed in the cold glow of the streetlight outside. She locked the door behind her and pressed her back against it, whispering, "Who's there?" Only silence answered. Over the next few days, the photos kept appearing. One morning, Emma found pictures of her leaving for work. A shot of her turning the doorknob, another of her walking down the hallway. Taken from an angle she didn't recognize, she became hyper-aware of every sound, every flicker of movement. Her phone became a source of terror, a device that betrayed her privacy and safety. She installed new locks, bought a small security camera. But nothing stopped the intruder. She confided in the building manager, who dismissed her concerns with a tired sigh. "No one's been reported breaking in here. You sure it's not just stress?" Emma didn't want to tell her parents, scared they would worry, or worse, think she was crazy. At work, she was distracted and irritable. Her colleagues noticed the dark circles under her eyes, the way she jumped at sudden noises. One night, Emma awoke to the sound of breathing. Soft, raspy, unmistakable. She reached for her phone. Flashlight app on. The beam fell on the bedroom door, slightly open again, summoning every ounce of courage. Emma stood and approached it. Her hand shook as she pushed it open wider. No one was there. But then, she noticed something on the floor near the closet, a small, folded piece of paper. She picked it up and unfolded it. Written in shaky, almost childlike handwriting were the words, I'm always here." A cold wave of terror washed over her. She dropped the note and fled into the living room, locking every door and window behind her. For the first time, she called the police. They arrived quickly, searched her apartment top to bottom, but found no evidence of a break-in. No fingerprints, no footprints, no forced entry. The officer looked at her sympathetically. "We'll keep an eye on the area. If you see anyone suspicious, call us immediately." Emma nodded, but deep down she knew. The police couldn't protect her from something she couldn't see. The next day, Emma made a decision. She couldn't stay here any longer. She packed a bag in secret, told her boss she needed a break, and arranged to stay with Sarah temporarily. That night, she left her apartment quietly, leaving behind everything except her phone and keys. Moment she stepped outside, she felt an unexpected relief. The suffocating heaviness lifted as if a dark cloud had broken apart. She looked at her phone, hoping the photos would stop. For days, there was nothing. No more pictures of her sleeping. Face. No shadows by the window. No strange notes. She breathed again, but the relief was short-lived. One morning, while getting ready in Sarah's bathroom, Emma's phone buzzed. A notification. A new photo. She opened it. Her blood ran cold. The photo showed her reflection in the bathroom mirror. But behind her, barely visible, was a pale face staring intently. She spun around. Nothing. No one. Just the empty room. She dropped the phone, the screen cracking on the tile floor. Her hands trembled uncontrollably. The stalker wasn't just in her old apartment. They were with her. Everywhere. Emma never found out who stalked her or why. She changed phones, changed numbers, moved cities. But the photos never stopped. Each time, they were more sinister. A hand resting on her shoulder, a shadow looming in the doorway, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Emma learned the hard way that some stalkers don't need to be seen. They follow silently, a whisper in your mind, a shadow in your soul. Waiting. Watching. Always. The eyes in the dark. Mark had always been drawn to places abandoned by time, crumbling factories, forgotten hospitals, and deserted warehouses where nature slowly reclaimed concrete and steel. His passion for urban exploration was more than a hobby, it was an obsession. The thrill of uncovering hidden corners of the city, the silence broken only by his footsteps and the occasional drip of water, that's what made him feel alive. He carried a camera strapped to his chest, his flashlight clipped to his belt, and a backpack filled with essentials. Tonight, Mark had set his sights on the old Holloway warehouse, a massive, derelict building on the city's outskirts that had been empty for decades. Locals whispered it was haunted, but that was part of the allure. The air smelled damp and musty as Mark pried open a rusted side door and stepped inside. His flashlight's beam cut a narrow path through the thick blackness. Walls were lined with peeling paint and graffiti. Broken glass crunched underfoot. Mark whispered to himself, "Perfect for filming." He switched on his camera, recording the eerie silence, the shadows that danced like ghosts on the walls. Deeper inside, the warehouse opened into a cavernous hall with towering shelves of rusted machinery and piles of forgotten crates. The only sound was the echo of Mark's footsteps and the steady hum of his flashlight. Suddenly, the light flickered. Mark froze. "No, not now," he muttered, tapping the flashlight's button. It flickered again, then steadied. He pressed forward, feeling a chill creep up his spine. The deeper he went, the heavier the darkness seemed to grow, as if it were swallowing the light whole. Then, without warning, dozens of glowing eyes appeared in the distance. Dozens, maybe hundreds, fixed on him from the shadows. They hovered in the dark, unblinking. Reflecting his flashlight's weak beam, Mark's heart slammed in his chest. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, but when he looked again, the eyes were still there, watching. A whisper drifted from behind him. Get out. He spun around. Nothing but darkness. Mark's breath came in sharp gasps as he turned back toward the glowing eyes. They seemed to move closer, not with legs or feet, but like shadows flowing across the walls and floors. The whispers grew louder. A cacophony of voices, urgent and chilling. His flashlight flickered again. Panic surged through his veins. He broke into a run, stumbling over broken floorboards and debris. Behind him, footsteps echoed, matching his pace. But when he glanced back, no one was there. The glowing eyes multiplied, surrounding him now, reflecting every frantic beam of his flashlight. Mark burst out of the warehouse into the cool night air, chest heaving, heart pounding like a war drum. He stopped, trembling, and looked down at his arms. Long, deep scratch marks streaked across his skin, raw and bleeding. He hadn't felt them before. But now the pain was sharp and burning. He tried to shake off the terror as he wiped the blood away. No one was around. No footsteps. No voices. Only the empty street and the distant hum of the city. Mark couldn't sleep that night. His mind replayed the glowing eyes and whispers. The invisible chase. The raw wounds that had appeared on his arms. He scoured the internet for any stories about Holloway Warehouse, legends of spirits, creatures, disappearances. One forum mentioned the Watchers, shadowy entities said to haunt abandoned places, feeding on fear, stalking to respasers. Mark wondered if he had seen them, or if he was losing his mind. Despite the fear, Mark's obsession wouldn't let him stay away. He returned to Holloway the next night, armed with better gear and a friend, Jamie, for backup. As they entered the warehouse, the darkness felt thicker, colder. The flashlight flickered again, just as before, but this time, Jamie saw it too. Pairs of glowing eyes reflecting in the dark. Jamie's voice was shaky. "Mark, what the hell are those?" Before Mark could answer, whispers echoed again, this time louder. They ran, but the eyes followed. Outside, Mark and Jamie stopped, breathless and terrified. Mark looked down. More scratch marks had appeared on his arms. Jamie shook his head in disbelief. "We need to get out of here." They left the warehouse behind, but the sense of being watched never left Mark. The eyes in the dark haunted his dreams. Mark never returned to Holloway again, but sometimes, late at night, he'd catch a glimpse. In the corner of his eye, pairs of glowing eyes watching silently from the shadows. He learned that some places don't want to be disturbed, and some watchers never stop watching. The voice on the line. Lena was used to the quiet. Living alone in her small suburban house, her days followed a calm, predictable rhythm. She liked it that way. No noisy neighbors, no unexpected visitors, just peace and the occasional friendly call from her sister. But one evening, as she was settling into her favorite armchair with a book, her phone rang. The caller ID showed an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Silence. No voice, just faint breathing on the other end. She frowned. "Hello?" Still nothing. The call ended abruptly. Thinking it was a prank or a wrong number, Lena shrugged and went back to her book. The calls started to come regularly, always from the same unknown number. Each time she answered, all she heard was shallow, quiet breathing. Her nerves began to fray. Was someone breathing into the phone just to scare her? She blocked the number, but the calls continued, now from different unknown numbers, all eerily similar. One night, Lena stayed awake, clutching her phone tightly, waiting for the call. When it came, the breathing was louder, closer. She could swear she heard a faint whisper, almost like her name. Days passed, and the breathing grew more sinister. One night, as Lena prepared for bed, her phone rang again. She hesitated, then answered. This time, the breathing was joined by a faint whisper. A clear voice calling her name. "Lena." Her blood ran cold. "Who is this?" she whispered, Voice trembling. Silence. Then the call ended. Terrified, Lena contacted the phone company. Desperate to trace the source. To her shock, the call originated from her own phone line. Inside her house. Her mind raced. How could that be? Could someone be inside her home? She checked every door and window. All locked. Her heart pounded. That night, Lena turned off all the lights and hid in the closet. Phone in hand. Her breath echoed in the cramped space. The phone rang. She answered silently. The breathing was closer. More urgent. Her name whispered repeatedly. She dared not move. The call ended. Minutes passed. Then, from somewhere in the house, a faint tapping, slow, deliberate. Lena's eyes adjusted to the darkness. She heard soft footsteps outside the closet. Door. Frozen. She clutched her phone tighter. The footsteps stopped. A shadow appeared under the door. Her breath caught. Suddenly, the phone rang again. The caller ID showed her own number. She screamed, summoning all her courage. Lena flung the closet door open and dashed for the front door. Her heart thundered as she fumbled with the lock. Behind her, footsteps pursued. She burst outside into the cold night air. Locking the door behind her. She called the police. They arrived quickly but found no one inside. No sign of forced entry. In the days that followed, Lena stayed with a friend. The calls stopped, but the fear lingered. She changed her phone number, installed new locks. But every night, she felt eyes on her, hearing faint breathing in the silence. One evening, months later, alone in her new apartment, her phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. A breath and a whisper. Lena.